Hey guys, what's up? So as we're getting closer to the release date or the supposing release date of the Oculus Rift in early 2016, we're starting to get a better picture of what it's all about. We're starting to get more and more details that just shape a more complete picture of the final product. And just last Wednesday at a conference in Los Angeles, Oculus VR CEO Brendan Iribe, I hope I'm saying that name right, but he said, and I'm quoting, "Consumers will spend around $1,500 when coupled with a PC costing less than $1,000, that is." So obviously he's telling us the price, but he's not telling it to us directly. I don't know why he does that, probably to kind of keep himself a little price range backdoor. But obviously what he's saying there implies that the Rift will cost anywhere between $500 and as much as $800, which is quite a lot and clearly places the Oculus Rift in kind of a premium price range product sector. Right now the developer version is available for around $350, so there is already quite a big difference in pricing between these two devices, and I'm not entirely sure how they're going to justify that in the final product. He also said that over time they're aiming more for like $1,000 or less for a PC that can handle VR and the Oculus goggles. So to me, this is just another negative point on a long list. I really want to love Oculus VR. I had the chance to try it out myself. I said it in previous videos. It's an amazing experience. It blows your mind when you put the goggles on first, and it's absolutely insane what they're doing with this. But this price tag just adds to a long list of downsides. Like I made a video about this a while ago. There is a lack of dedicated content. I think it's so important that we get games that are tailored only to Oculus VR and not just, that every game, like whatever the next Far Cry or the next Elder Scrolls and the next whatever it is, also supports Oculus Rift. To me, it doesn't work like this. We need dedicated content, and so far, there are a few games, it was pointed out to me, like Eve Valkyrie, I think it's called, which looks great, and I think it only runs on VR. Sony just opened the Northwest Studios, which is a brand new first-party studio that will only look at VR titles. So I think we need more of that. And at the moment, especially with infos like this, developers are just really, really careful, I feel, right? Because they don't know how big the market will be. And if they develop a game only for VR, it might be a giant failure. If you put that much money in the development of a game, you don't want to take risks like that. Nausea is still a big problem, something that I pointed out in the very beginning, and it was admitted by John Carmack as well, that the device has a big problem and they are still fighting it with nausea and like motion sickness. The anti-social nature of the device is another downside, right? That you sit at home on your couch, normally when you game with your friends, it's a social experience. Everyone has a gamepad and you poke each other, whatever, you play, it's social. But when everyone wears these kind of goggles, it's just socially extremely awkward, especially when you're doing it alone, right? You're just sitting there on your own with a pair of goggles on your head, maybe your wife or your children next to you. How weird is that? So it has that downside, and now, last but not least, it got this relatively high price tag, and I just see more and more where this is going. I can't see a big success for it anymore because all these downsides just really work against the incredible experience that it actually is. Obviously, I'm talking from a gamer's perspective. This is a device that can be applied to many different fields, and there was also something that Brendan Iribe mentioned in this interview, like for instance the use in medical fields, or also like in sports, like live sports events. If you imagine you have like a 360-degree camera at some kind of sports event in the first row, and you can sit at home and put your goggles on, and you're gonna sit in the first row at the Super Bowl or the next World Cup match or whatever. You get the best footage. You can look around. It is very close to actually being there, but then again, it's socially awkward. I talked about it. You enjoy football with your friends, right? You want to drink a beer, you want to sit with your mates on the couch and enjoy the match. If everyone wears a pair of awkward goggles, it just, to me personally, just doesn't really work. On top of that, Sony's Shuhei Yoshida said a while ago that he aims to keep the price tag for Project Morpheus as low as possibly can done. Now, we don't know any numbers on that yet, like how cheap will it actually be, but if Sony manages to keep it around the $350 price mark. And at the same time, like I said earlier, they opened a dedicated studio just for games like this. Like at the same time, they managed to supply enough games to make the device really interesting. Then I can really see actually Project Morpheus being the more popular device in the gaming sector. Look, I really don't want to hate Oculus. I'm really fascinated by it. I really want it to succeed, and I'm really excited that we have this new tech coming out. But at the same time, I'm asking myself, would I invest $500, and it might actually be more than that, into a VR device? I personally wouldn't. Like, unless there is a game that I definitely have to play with that. And you know, you could argue that like Star Citizen might be that game, but even for that, like, I'm such a huge Wing Commander fan, and I can't wait for Star Citizen, but I wouldn't spend that much money on a device when I can actually play it on my dual or even triple screen setup. It's, for me personally, probably the more comfortable experience. So guys, these are just my thoughts. Would you spend that much money on a VR device, like $500? What would have to happen that you would spend that much money on a device like that? I would be really interested in hearing your thoughts on that, guys. Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below. As always, you can leave a like if you enjoyed the video. You can subscribe to my channel. Please share the video if you enjoyed it. Otherwise, take care, stay tuned, and I'll see you next time. I'm out. Bye.